So I get a lot of questions sent to me through Facebook or sometimes my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to share some of the questions that I've been asked, and most of it is based on stereotypes, African stereotypes. So before we go any further, I'm going to give you some facts about Africa. Even though a lot of people in the United States think Africa is a country, but it's not. It's a continent, and not really a country like most people would like to believe. So Africa is one of the largest continents in the world. Is bigger than China, India, US, and most of Europe combined. And African is not a language. There is no language called African. There is several different languages spoken in Africa and several different cultures. And people ask me what languages I speak. So we don't really identify ourselves as African. We tell you what country we're from, our tribe, so people identify as tribes, not color, as it is in the United States. So I'm a Soninke, so if you look at my name, it says Soninke Warrior. That's where the name comes from. People call us by several different names. In the Gambia, people call us Sarahule. In Sierra Leone, where I spent most of my early childhood, would call us Maraka. We're called Soninke or Sarahule. But we ourselves call ourselves Soninke. So another question that I get a lot is, people believe that there is no water in Africa. We do have plenty of water, plenty of vegetation. In fact, there are 800 million people that live in Africa. 300 million live in areas that is water stressed. It doesn't necessarily mean they don't have water, but it's water stressed just like it is in other parts of the world as well. Like in California, California is water stressed, but that doesn't mean they don't have water, So it's the same analogy. So globally, 1.1 billion people live in water stressed areas. And, that's just given, but for some reason, this is attributed to Africa. So what most people don't realize is, there are many, many different, different climates in Africa. You have the savanna regions. There are regions where it even, it is cold enough to snow. There's the rainforest. There's the desert areas. So it's a mixture. We have mountains, rainfalls, waterfalls. You name it. You can Google this stuff. But most people don't really see it that way. They only see it as the savanna. So another big stereotype I get, is people in Africa they ask me, oh, people in Africa have AIDS. That's ridiculous. Like, people have AIDS everywhere. So when people say Africa, be specific, what countries are you talking about? There are 53 different countries in Africa. So if you come up to me and say Africa, I'm not going to know what you're talking about. The continent of Africa, but what country, what region are you talking about? Because there's different people. There's so many different people from Africa. Not everybody's the same. Not everybody speaks the same language or the same culture. Hell, our features are not even the same. We can tell ourselves apart every single time. So somebody wanted to know, do we have internet access in Africa? Well, I mean, my country does have internet access, and I'm guessing since this is the 21st century, most country, I mean, I would think all the countries probably have internet, but I haven't been to the whole of Africa. So one of the most common questions I get is, some people that had interest in watching me, they wanted to know some of the stuff that I do. So Jennifer from Minnesota writes, "Dear Abu, the Soninke warrior, you obviously work out. How often do you go to the gym, and have you always been this fit? Thank you for taking the time to write me, Jennifer. I mean, I have always been active. I've played sports my whole life, mainly soccer. I ran track, but I've always loved working out. At one point in my life, I started becoming complacent and lazy. I lost my groove for a bit, work, stresses of life, you name it. And I became complacent, but I'm thankful that I was able to pick myself back up and just keep going at it. And I think people that's been thinking about it should stop thinking and actually do it. And she went on to say, is working out enforced in African families? Well, I don't know if I would generalize it and say African families. Once again, I'm going to repeat myself. Africa is not a country. I spent my time in Sierra Leone and Gambia. So if you ask me, especially these days, it's been so long ago. If you ask me most things, I would have to Google it myself, just like you. But yeah, in the continent of Africa, Gambia, Sierra Leone, Senegal, places I know, children are pretty active. We are encouraged to play outside. So my next question comes from John. John from Florida writes, "Dear Abu, the Soninke warrior, you talk a lot about racism and social injustices. As a black man, what is the most racist thing done to you, and where do you find your inspiration to keep fighting?" Thanks for asking that question, John. The most racist thing that ever happened to me, John, would be when I was deliberately discriminated against at my job that I had for many, many years. I can't get into details about it right now because it's an ongoing thing, but I will have to update all of you on this. But what keeps me going is the hope for the future, because life becomes what you make it to be. All the trials and tribulations that I went through in the hands of those who treated me differently, just made me much stronger and a better human. And for a lack of better words, it shows, how wickedness, can eat up a society because people stood by and let those happen. My inspiration comes from the people, everyday people, seeing how they stand up against injustice, how people are speaking up. So to me, it's part of my life. And another question here is from LaShawn. LaShawn from Atlanta writes, "Why do you Africans hate us Black Americans?" Good question, LaShawn. I ask myself that question all the time. Let me break this down to you, LaShawn. LaShawn, there is no such thing as just African or not. LaShawn, I'm guessing from your name, You're a black man. So you are African. That's why they have the prefix in front of American as African American. It's just used to confuse you, but there is no difference between you and I, LaShawn. The only difference is we're born in different countries, but your ancestors came from the place I come from. So there is no difference between you and I. The only difference is the culture, and I believe you can learn about the culture too, LaShawn. So to my African brothers and sisters and black people that live here, I don't know where this beef stuff came from, but as far as I can tell, a lot of people that I know from the continent of Africa actually love black people from here. I have faced a lot of standoffish people. You know, I've even had a black guy tell me once to go back to my country, and it was pretty funny to me. I wasn't upset, but it's just people are brainwashed to believe they are something that they are not. So I'm gonna repeat myself again, LaShawn. You are an African man, just like myself and anybody else that you're gonna point at. Remember, the slaves came from where I come from, and you came from the slaves. So that means you are one of us. So I hope my answers were helpful here today. I would be sure to bring, answer more of your questions, or, bring them out here and share with all of you. Don't hesitate to write to me if you have any questions. And don't forget to subscribe. Share this video with your friends as well.